a book I really enjoyed enough to get the audiobook of, and I had already had my mother read it to me in paperback form. Who Killed the Fonz? Um, First, let me say, I think that this would be a great way to get the younger generation into Happy Days. I think that would be a definite upside to this book. If they don't know who the characters are, you know, and and not to spoil the book, but like nobody dies in it. Granted, the bad guy almost gets them to use drugs, but he's the bad guy. Bad guys are supposed to do bad things. Bad guys aren't supposed to be good guys part two. They're supposed to be bad. Not all problems can be solved with a hug. That's all I'm willing to say on that one. It's definitely not Steven Universe. And as a kid that watched Happy Days on TV Land, when when Nickelodeon had a Nick at Night block, now Nick at Night doesn't even exist. Again, I really enjoyed seeing that the characters like Richie and like Fonzie and like Potsy had all grown up into dads and functioning members of society. And there were clues to what happened to a lot of other members of the Happy Days universe. And yes, it was a universe. It incorporated Mork and Mindy. So when I found that out, I mean that definitely made it a universe for me. Mork is not in this, which is a real shame. Almost everybody else is. There was references to Laverne and Shirley. There was references to Joni and Joni Loves Chachi. There was references to almost any other Happy Days related media that you can think of. So, and the bad guy wasn't like one of Fonz's enemies or like some other part of the Happy Days universe. It was distinctly a new character named Sealock. Sealock is kind of an evil politician type. I realized about halfway through when the guy was reading it to me this time on Audible. He to me looked like Fred Jones in my mind from Scooby Doo. Like if Fred had just gone evil. Keep in mind, I didn't realize this till about halfway through, and this is my second time reading this. And all the clues were there as to the mystery involved in this book. And if you go back over it, it it definitely has a reasonable story. Um, there's love, there's passion. Richie became a director, which made me smile because Richie was played by Ron Howard. Um, I could see this being like a 5-part Happy Days final season finale, but I know that's never gonna happen. So, but it definitely fit in that universe. It referenced that he was briefly a veteran. It referenced that they did a drag race. Um, it referenced the band. They didn't reference Weezer in any capacity, which is a missed opportunity. And if it was being scored like a normal book, I'd I'd knock points off. I mean, like a comic book, but but it's not. So I don't feel it's right to score and criticize another writer in a traditional media format because I know how hard publishing a book can be. And the odds of the guy who killed the Fonz ever seeing my review are slim to none. But if he ever does, hey, good job. Yeah, he definitely knows his stuff. He referenced jumping the shark. It was a bunch of little things, and the guy that performed this, he tried to manipulate his voice and create different characters, and you know that always makes me smile. Even if your voice can't exactly do the character you're trying to portray, it always makes me smile that you're trying to illustrate you're dealing with a different character. So, um, again, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to tell you what happens. But no, it is a good book, and I definitely think that it deserves all the accolades it's getting. Um, I also think that it should get a sequel, but again, that's probably not gonna happen. I don't remember doing a video on this before, but if I did, go back and watch that one. Find out what I thought about mom reading it to me versus the audiobook, which was professionally done now. If I didn't, this is to this is to judge both the audiobook and the paperback book, physical media. And I really like that. I really like that the book was short. It didn't go on for too long. It wasn't too big of a performance. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is far too long. It wasn't like when I read The Hobbit and then read Lord of the Rings, where it was a dramatic tonal shift. I imagine it wouldn't be, even if given a second book. But Annie, would you please cut that out? Sorry, everybody. So, anyway, each one of the chapters weren't actually chapters, they were days, like in 24. And the end was the weekend. I really like that writing device. That the weekend comes was the last chapter, and I like the author tried to create his own little separate world for Hollywood and what happened to Richie and how they grew up. And none of those characters quite overshadowed what came before. But at the same time, if you were a fan of, say, the villain, you could see it from his point of view up till the very end. Um, yeah. Again, I really enjoyed this book. Who Killed the Fonz? Feel it should get a sequel. I've been Bob. This has been The Other World According to Bob. Bob out. Wasn't that a great video? Book review? Comic book review? What it is? I don't know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Um, and I've been Bob. And once again, stay safe. Bye.